Welcome to Living the Sweet Life with Azucar. Living the Sweet Life with Azucar is a podcast by mental health therapist, spoken word artist, author, screenwriter, and playwright Simone Nicole, better known as Azucar, discussing what it is like to be creative in the working world in her interview segment Ask Azucar, finding solutions to any mental wellness questions in her Q&A segment Work Well Wednesdays, and spilling the tea in her special bi-weekly dating episodic Welcome to the Sugar Factory. Subscribers will receive goodies on Freebie Fridays according to their tier level. Please remember to join the Sweet Teas on patreon.com/LA Sugar Factory.
Hello, everyone. Finally, we are back for second season. This time it's Work Well Wednesday episode, and our favorite friend has joined us again. It is Larry with me, and today is going to be an interesting topic. We're going to talk about this new isolated culture that's coming out of like people saying they can do it all by themselves. They don't need a man, they don't need a woman, and they bitch and complain and they end up just being at home by themselves, wondering if their person will actually knock on their door and make their life so much better. So I wanted to ask Larry what he thought about this new isolated culture that's coming out of like, doing it all on your own.
I honestly feel like a victim of the isolated culture in a lot of ways. If you think about it, I was married for 20 years and then all of a sudden I didn't have a use. It became, I don't need no man. I just take care of myself. I don't need to take care of him, whether he took care of them for 20 years or not. I'm not saying nothing bad about her. She's a nice woman. I do care about her to this day. I ain't gonna lie, because that's not how I'm built. We went through a lot after I had my brain surgery. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody on here to look at her like a piece of garbage because she's not. But the isolated culture that a lot of people fall into that I see is, oh, well, this person can't do for this person. So, you know what? They're useless now. And I'm going to move on. And it just seems like it affected my life in a lot of ways. It affected other people's lives in a lot of ways. And I know this is more of a newer culture because back in the day, when somebody
Yeah.
felt ill, that made people feel more responsible, not less. But our
Right.
culture is becoming what can I get from what? And that's sad.
That annoys me to no end. Like, what can I get from this person? I know when we got that way, but I'm not going to talk about that today. I don't have much of a voice to talk about that today. But, like, I really, really hate that because personally, I grew up with my family. My family's a Caribbean family. And so we grew up helping each other. Like if somebody's struggling, if my aunt was struggling, if my great aunt was struggling, if my grandmother was struggling, we would figure out a way to go over there to help them
Yep.
and like make their life easier. And now it's all like, no, I should be able to do it by myself. I mean, I learned so much, so I got this. But I forgot I thought that Eve was made from Adam's rib, right?
Word, I want my rib back sometimes. I ain't gonna front.
So that's my mindset of like, yo, I'm trying to find where my rib's supposed to fit so I can help because we were created to be in community, and that's why a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety is going rampant because now we're in a culture that's all about individualism, and we're in a culture that's all about me, and how can I get further, and who do I need to step on to get that raise, or who do I need to step on to further my life, instead of how can we work together, work in tandem, work side by side for everyone to move on up and for everyone to feel whole, quote unquote.
Yo, it's not just that anymore. It comes down to a lot of things. Like, look at my mom, Dukes. Like, just being straight up. Me and my mom love each other to death. Don't get me wrong, but I never got along with my parents as good as I should have. But anytime they ever called me for something, I was there. And that was called personal responsibility for people related to you. And this is something old school culture has that new school culture don't at all, because it became a point of people don't even want to go out to see people. I'm hiding in my house right now because I'm scared of people. I ain't even gonna front.
Mm.
You know I'll do this because I love you, Simone. You know how it is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, since I lost my family, I've been hiding from the world. And then when I go on dating sites and try to meet somebody new, spend some time with her, the first question I get is what you do for a living. I'm on disability because I had brain cancer. It's not a joke what I had. I know I look okay. I look like I'm handling myself. But in our society, it's like you can still walk, talk, and feel. So you should be able to work. And then you have cats that never worked and nobody says nothing to them. And it's weird to me, yo. Anybody who knows me before I got sick knows the hours I put in.
He was a workhorse. He was a big hard worker, and it's so sad at this point for, especially in the dating culture, for that to be like the first thing out of their mouth. And what I've realized, and I am slowly like getting myself away from the dating apps. I have not hit delete yet, but I said I'm gonna do it. I am gonna do it this week. I really am, because I've stopped paying attention to the notifications on my phone. Like, that's progress, and the next progress will be to hit delete on the apps, because what I'm noticing is that despite what people say on their profile, it's a whole bunch of bollocks. And people like me and you are trying to be honest and find honest companionship. We should not be on those dating apps, because all they want is to get their itch scratched and to find a sugar daddy or a sugar mama. And unfortunately, our hearts are not built that way. So we are going to consistently get hurt and consistently get disappointed, because we are genuine people and the people on dating apps are just looking to get something.
No, that's on the real. Like, I'm nowhere near perfect, yo. Simone, you see me. Actually, you've seen me in ways where people are fighting on my job when you were around. And I'd be like, guys, we can have a nice conversation without
Yeah.
being disgusting. Like, I don't care if you see it one way, you see it another. That's the problem with relationships now. No disrespect to women, so please don't see it this way. A lot of guys getting scared off by how, like, I respect the fact that women felt like they were held in a corner for a long time, because they were. I ain't gonna front, they were. But you know what? Just because you're gonna change, there still has to be a feminine and a masculine thing in a relationship.
Yes.
And a man who admits that he's at fault and looks you in the eyes and says, yo, I messed up here. And I'm not talking about the bad, like, I'm not perfect, yo, not by any stance, yo. But like, I know that in my relationship, neither one of us were. And I respect that. And I respect that with any woman. But anytime I tell a woman I'm on disability, you know what the sad part about my disability is? I worked hard and I probably make more than most lower wage people do. I'm not saying I'm rich.
Right. You're just being able to survive and, like, yeah.
Nah. And I don't understand how, like, people don't look at a relationship as a two-way thing. And that's what's going on now. But at the same time, when I hear from people that I could be this provider, I could be this, I could be that, the man can't be the other side of it. Like, why can't a man be the homebody? Like, let's be real here. Like, if
Yeah.
we're equals both ways. And I think men, or at least in my circumstance, we take things harder than a lot of women do now. Back in the day when a woman got her heart broken, she'd be destroyed. Now it's like,
Now we have choices.
well, you always had choices. Let's be real. I've seen some ugly girls. And when I say ugly, I'm talking about on the inside. I ain't talking about their looks. I've
Got you.
seen some really terrible human beings get a great man. And I've seen really sweet people like Simone. I love you. You know that. So I'm going to say some things that are going to make you mad.
It's okay.
Simone's extremely educated and it bothers people. And I hate to say it, but like at Simone's young age, it's
Thank
kind of
you.
hard to find a guy without scratches. And
I'm
that's
not
just
looking
me
for a
being
guy
real.
without scratches.
No,
I'm
no,
just
I
looking
know
for a
that.
guy
I
with
know that.
emotional intelligence and drive. Apparently those two things are too hard to find.
I'm sorry I'm the only one you know. But like on the real, I think a lot of relationships are falling apart because people are doing too much learning about people through text, through those stupid dating sites. You don't know nobody until you see how their face works. You see how their body moves around while they talk to you. You don't know that person. I don't care. Like, I have a person on a dating site that I've been talking to for months. And you know who I'm talking about. You told me to
Yeah,
stop talking to her more than once.
I
And
did.
she's like, do you want a girlfriend? I'm like, you still haven't came to see me.
Right.
So where's the part where we get to know each other? I ain't gonna call you my girl until like we at least sit down and have coffee together. I ain't rich right
Right.
now, okay? I'm sorry I'm stuck on coffee dates, girls, but I'm still pretty. Too bad you can't get my facial
There's
picture in it.
nothing wrong with coffee dates. There's nothing wrong with pizza dates. It's just after those dates, there needs to be more dates. And I'm saying this for certain people. You know who you are when I'm talking about it. Just because we went on one date in person does not automatically say that you are my man. We need to have that conversation. We need to see where our values line up and if it makes sense. And I think that that's where the isolated culture comes in. It's like we step out to try, and then we get so many like low vibration men, so many low vibration women, so many people that are looking to take, that we're just be like, it's better off to be on my couch and watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette and just, have my emotional fix that way.
Yeah, no doubt. I think a lot of people are rolling in this either I get it now or it ain't worth it. And that's not good. It's not good for anybody in a situation, not the young lady, not the young man. Men still got to be better men. And I ain't even going to front because I am not perfect. But like at the same time, we have to look at people and understand that there's something called feelings,
Yeah.
understanding, love, respect. And I love anybody I was ever with. You know the situation I was just in, and I still love that woman. I hope her life is amazing, with or without me.
Hmm.
And you know what I've been through, and it's not totally her fault. So I ain't gonna front like that because I wasn't right. And I'm not gonna say she was wrong because that's wrong to say because I made a lot of mistakes. And when I say mistakes, I wasn't right in the head, and I was really scared, and I showed it instead of just keeping it to myself.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. Because in this isolated culture and what we're being taught about being women being masculine until we can find a man that we can share the load with, we're forgetting that men also need to be shown emotional vulnerability, and we need to be able to create this space where the man can be vulnerable with us and we don't run, or we don't call him a simp, or we don't call him a wimp, or we don't call him a pussy. Mind you, pussies are strong because they birth children, so I think we need to get rid of that as an insult, but that's another conversation for another day. Like, we need to, same way as men need to create an environment for women to be able to be soft, women need to create an environment where men can be emotionally vulnerable and not feel like they have to be in their shell the whole time. It sucks that we have a culture that created the saying of big boys don't cry, and then we get mad when our husband or our boyfriend don't talk to us. Like, they have grown their entire life learning they have to keep their emotions inside.
And as a good man, say what you got to say. Like, I said some things I shouldn't have said, but it was what I was feeling. And honestly, when you think about things, it might have seemed mean and abusive, but at the time, it was a matter of I felt vulnerable and I didn't feel somebody catching me, yo. I felt like, remember
Yeah.
back in the day when they did that lean back to see if you trust your friend and you fall in their
But
arms?
yeah, the trust fall.
Oh, yeah. Damn. I trust barreled down in down Niagara Falls. But like, I just thought I had it that way where I could do that. I thought after 20 years, I could be straightforward at my worst time. And it just tore me apart. And it's not just that person's fault. I don't want anybody to think I'm trashing because I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I did that in other episodes, but I was totally ripped apart. And people don't understand mentally what this does to a person that has been in the same life for his whole adult life. Like I
Right.
missed those bar crawls. I missed all that fun stuff because I was
Grief,
too
I mean,
busy.
grief takes its own path. It's not always a straight line. It can be bumpy.
But people need to realize men take it that way too. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I think a lot of people are just like on this weird horse where if he don't do what I want him to do, I'm done. And I see that a lot. And it ain't just in my situation. I've been seeing that a lot for the last few years. I think COVID had a major effect on people
Yeah.
because they saw like when you were home a lot, when you never were before, there was things you saw in your home that you never realized were going on because you were always at work or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one because I know a lot of people that had good marriages before that COVID thing. I hate to
But
say it. You know?
it also taught us, and this is going to be another episode, so stay tuned. Being in COVID taught us that we don't know how to communicate.
No, not at all.
Usually, in order to save ourselves, we'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go out for a few hours and come back. Instead of sitting down and having a conversation and having a conversation where you understand one another.
And
Like in
sometimes
COVID, we couldn't go
conversations,
anywhere, so we had to sit through it, and nobody knew how to sit through it, so everybody got divorced, or everybody just like became roommates instead of romantic partners.
especially when the kiddies were always in the house. And that's just being real because there was some things that, and I'm not talking about laying down. I'm talking about everything besides that, the back rub, the foot rub, all the things you're supposed to do for your woman. And I see that like if your woman tells your feet hurt, you get on your knees like a man, you rub those feet. But on the other side, same thing, girls. Like if we want to be equals,
I might not rub your feet, but I will rub your back.
no, you won't. I'll try.
Yes, I will. You and I have a different relationship, so that's just a little weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. It's like my sister rubbing my back.
Right. Okay. So like in this I don't need a man culture. It's because we're also looking at social media, and social media is showing us, bad girls that can handle all of their businesses and all of this stuff by themselves. But we don't see the fact that yeah, they might be the face of the industry, but they have a whole team behind them. So if you over here trying to say like I can do all this by myself, I don't need a man, you might need an invisible team to be able to successfully complete all your goals. So like we need to let our chips down. We need to be honest and say that we were made for companionship. We were made to be in communion with other people. And the more isolated we get, the worse mentally we get, and the worse this country gets as far as violence goes, because people not being able to express their emotions in a healthy manner and see other people validate their experiences creates like people that think everybody's out to get them.
Yo, that's the word of society now, though, because you look at all the idols in a woman's like background right now, right? They look at Kim Kardashian as an idol.
Oh gosh, please no.
No disrespect to the woman. I respect that she made her money, yo, and I will always respect that. But like, she seems to have a bad taste in men. I hate to say it. And then when that man starts getting out there his feelings and stuff, she bounces. Like
Well,
it's a
I
bad
don't know.
example.
I didn't get a chance to be her therapist like I wanted to. So I couldn't tell you.
I
I
just know
couldn't
what
tell
I
you
heard.
about
I just know what I heard and I saw on the news. And I'm always like, damn, your man has some mental problems and you bounce. Like, hold them, love them, show them that you're not going to run. Maybe that will help a little bit. But like, I think marriage is forever. To this day, I still think that. Whether my marriage is over or not, like, I hope anybody gets married at this point on stays married. I don't believe in divorce. Yes, I'm divorced, but it wasn't my choice.
that.
I
Yeah.
had to do it.
I mean, I'm trying to look for my forever person, and I mean it.
But
So I'm not gonna apologize for my high standards, because if I have emotional intelligence, and if something is amiss, do tell me and I'll fix it. Don't tell me and run.
wow, I remember the one time I told
That's
out.
that's for that's for another day, because we got to talk about that's for another diagnosis day. Um, and so it's like, but for me, what I've noticed is if I give you multiple chances and you still don't adjust, simple things like having courtesy, having self-awareness and awareness of surroundings. If those things don't adjust, then I really know we don't vibe. Because in my head, I'm gonna be thinking about your safety, and if you're not thinking about my safety, we can't coexist.
Yeah, there's no coexistence if you don't look at each other's safety. Because when you think about it, men, let's be honest, men are very simple in a lot of ways. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I know a lot of dudes. So, like, when we fall in love, we fall hard. And once we do, that's it for us. We're just there. And that's 80% of men, I'll say. You
I wish
saw
that
that.
was true in my case, but it was not.
I would say, like, I'm talking about long term relationship. Like, every man I know that got divorced so far that I'm friends with are destroyed, just like I am.
Mm.
Men, when they finally fall in love and decide that's where you're going to sit, they get a little too comfortable. And
And what
that's
does
what
that
I
look
think.
like?
When you get a little too comfortable, there's some things you used to shield your mouth from saying when you were dating that you didn't shield your mouth from. There's times where you think you could just say what you're thinking right out. Because I'm the type of guy that believes that I should be able to say what I got to say. And if you disagree with me, tell me why. And then we could figure it out. I
That's
don't
how you're
believe in,
supposed to do it.
that's how I tried to do it. And it just turned into nightmares. I was not nice about it. And that's me being real because I just had enough of like trying while I'm sick and it destroyed me and everything that I believe in. But at the same time, I don't blame the other person because I was putting a lot of pressure on them. And it is what it is, yo. And like anybody who knows me knows that I don't put pressure on people unless I'm really in a hole.
Yeah.
So maybe I was wrong.
And that's interesting, because as I think about isolated culture, we were all in a hole. We were all in a hole. And I think because we survived the hole, we now think that we can survive the rest of our lives by ourselves again.
And I think a lot of people believe that now because culture basically says that basically everybody has their use. When that use is gone, it's just like a broken TV. You throw it out, buy another flat screen, call it a day. And people think that's how it is. And it's not because I'm telling you right now, anybody in there, tell me if I'm wrong here, anybody in their mid to late 30s who still haven't settled down are going to have it harder than somebody in their 20s.
Of course.
And back in the day, people got married before they were like 25, like it was nothing.
Yeah, that was my goal. God had other plans, but that was my goal.
And the problem is, I hate to say it, but swiping right didn't make it right. It made it too many options
Right.
and too much. And this is for men. Like you run around and you get, I'm going to sound a little gross here, Simone, so please don't beat me up.
You're
You're running
good. Go ahead.
around, you're running around, you just get what you want to get, if you know what I'm saying. And then when you go to marry up, you don't know how to act. And
That's true.
when I was young, I was around a little bit, but I'm talking my young teenage years. I'm not talking, 40 years old. Now I want to settle after I was messing around for 25 years. And by the time you get to that point, you're already stuck in your ways. There's no molding. And when I
Yeah.
say molding, I'm saying on both sides. I'm not just saying on the man's side. A young lady who gets married has to understand that you're two different people, whether you think you're the same or not.
Yep.
And once that happens, you isolate yourself in the situation And that's what I ended up doing.
And like I like how you said it, it was because we have too many choices. And I feel like we get pulled into the isolated culture the more that we fumble the right person because we have too many choices. Like you don't want to do the work because if you see what's valuable in the person, but then they're trying to level up and therefore you have to level up in tandem with them and you're not feeling like you want to do the work, so you let them go and then you realize, the 80-20 rule, the 20% is trash and you try to get back to 80, the 80's not gonna come back.
Nah. And it's not as easy as people think it is, man, because I feel bad for young ladies right now because these young men are starting to see what their parents are going through and they don't want to go through it. Like, I see in my daughters, like when they talk about, one of my daughters talks about dating, she's like, I'm not going to bother. It's a weird culture because they
Wow.
don't want to deal with the nonsense. And everybody in a relationship has nonsense. The whole idea of the perfect relationship, like the whole princess and the prince thing, people gotta get over this fantasy. Just because you see it on TV here and there, it doesn't work that way.
I
Men
mean, the
aren't
beast
perfect.
still had some stuff he had to work through. The beast
Oh,
had some things
100%.
he got to work through before he could be with Belle. Y'all forgot about that? You just skipped to the end of the movie where he turns back into a prince. You forgot the whole movie where he had to deal with his emotions and learn how to communicate. Y'all forgot that whole thing? For real, for real.
And I think a lot of it is fear. I'm telling you right now, if I meet another young lady, well, not young lady, I'm an old man, but if I meet another lady that I want to spend time with and spend my life with, it's going to be kind of weird for me because I never thought I'd have to go through this dating thing again. And honestly, at this point, I haven't even tried yet because I'm scared shitless. Because I see how people change so much in the last 10 years that I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel because of the way people have changed. The only way I'm not going to go to a bar to meet a girl. Like, it's just not my thing. But I'll
Yeah.
swipe right a little bit, see if I can meet somebody and start texting back and forth. And I'm way too honest. So when somebody asks me, what you do for a living, I'm like, I'm on disability. And I explain to them why.
Uh-huh.
Next thing I know, blank. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't make enough money. So what? I'm alone forever. There's some poor girls out there, and they think they're gonna find the guy that's gonna take care of them. Then you have the girls who are making money, and they want a guy who's up to their standard. But
Yeah.
sometimes the standard is a little weight, a little more on the cash side, and a little less on the
And
romance side.
I'm gonna bring up my favorite man. I'm gonna bring up my favorite man, Ryan Coogler, right now. Okay. So let's roll all the way back to the very beginning. He didn't have enough money to purchase Final Draft, which is the script writing software that you need to create plays, screenplays, and everything. He didn't have enough money to purchase that, and that was like a couple $100s. So who did that? His wife. I think they were actually boyfriend girlfriend at the time, or they had just started, like they were just married. And like nowadays, people would have probably just left him alone. But
Yep.
look where he's at now. Billions and billions of dollars because the girlfriend slash wife put an investment in her man.
Imagine this. You see me do comedy.
I
Imagine
keep
this.
telling you need to do it again.
Yeah, but just imagine this. When I was in my 20s and I was working 6 days a week, if somebody just made it so that I could work five and then go chase my comedy, everybody who knows me, including counselors that I talk to, are like, you're funny. You should be a comic. And they never even knew I did comedy. It's a funny thing to me because I talk about real life, but I do it in my own little way. And anytime I've ever done my 5 minutes on stage, I had people laughing. I've never failed. You know I could do an hour with my eyes closed. You've seen me do it. You were near me when I was just going on rants.
Yep.
It's not that hard for me because I could find the saddest moments of my life and find something funny about them. That's how I survive. People don't understand, like, when somebody has a dream, you can't just shadow it and tell them no, because that
Because
dream will totally.
but you also got to remember, if God put it in us, it's gonna come true at some point. We just gotta stop. We just gotta stop putting our own boulders in front of it. It's never gonna go away. It's gonna transform itself into something else. Like
Maybe.
I never thought I was gonna be in film and like TV and all that. I never modeling. I never thought of that. But because I like to create characters and because I like to create different personalities, and because my poems turn into stories, it it has transformed my writing. It has transformed into other avenues in which I can help people.
And that's all you need to do. Like, if you could love what you're doing, people don't understand how many artists don't get rich. They just get to help one person. And to them, that's priceless. And that's a true artist. Like,
Yeah.
if I did comedy in old people homes for the rest of my life, just to make old people smile, and I never made a dime, I would care less. That's just who I am. Um, Even public speaking, I would love to do public speaking about divorce and the
Okay.
attributes, how it falls on men in a weird way. You know, I know I sound sexist saying this, but it falls on the bread maker. And if the bread maker happens to be a man, they get looked at a little differently than it's the other way. I've seen too much in the last 3 years.
Mm.
Um, to the point where I basically have 5 boxes in a garage and a toolbox full of tools, and that's all I get left for 20 years of work.
Well, you already know how I feel about that. Again, for the other episode. Um
Nah, I know that. I know. And it wasn't because I could afford it.
if you can, I'm putting it out there and I'm putting it for the people that are going to listen to us so that y'all can like be going on Larry's Facebook and his Instagram and say, hey, 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 I want to hear you. I want to hear you. June 28th is my DSM Live showcase. It is also a graduation for the people that were doing my workshop this May month, but it's also Men's Mental Health Month. So I would love for you to come down here and I'm gonna give you 10 minutes. Forget 5 minutes of comedy. I'll give you 10 minutes to stand up on that stage, or you can sit if you don't want to stand with the mic and say whatever you want, talk about whatever you want.
You're gonna throw me off stage in about 4.5 minutes.
So, get in his DMs, get in his Facebook, telling him he needs to go, he needs to go, he needs to go. June 28th in Brooklyn at the Secret Pour,
If I
4
go
to
to
8
Brooklyn,
p.m.
if I go to Brooklyn, there has to be at least one beautiful woman to hold my hand while I do it. Preferably,
We'll see who we have in the crowd. We'll see who we have in the crowd. But I would
no
really
white girl.
love for you to be on the stage and prepare a set for them. You got a little bit over a month. You can do it.
That's not hard for me. I could do 10 minutes just standing on a stage.
So please, please, please come down and bring your friends if you want. But your friends obviously will have to pay the entrance fee because it also
Of
is a
course.
fundraiser so that I can open up the clinic, my own clinic, and stop working for other people.
I'll be the secretary there.
You want to be the secretary, the receptionist?
I need dough. I'm sick of being on disability, yo. I think I could type.
You probably yeah. I don't see why not. Like, well, apparently, so I have to apparently now that means I have to have two locations because my other friend wants to be the receptionist there, and you want to be the receptionist. So we gotta either have her on 2 days and you on 3 days.
We could do a comedy set, whoever's funnier.
She is not a comedian at all.
I tried.
But so We are at our half an hour mark.
I
Is
figured
there
we get there quick.
anything, right? Is there anything you want to tell people about fighting this isolation culture?
De-isolate yourself. Start talking face to face. Texting is not a way to get to know somebody because I could write anything in a text and think something else. If you have to look somebody in the eye, you know what they're thinking. Even if you don't know them, you can see their facial expressions and actually learn them. If you're going to meet somebody you barely know, stick in public. Go somewhere light so you can look them in the eye. I don't care if you go to McDonald's. Like, at least it's
To
bright.
McDonald's, they're not that bad.
No, at least it's bright and you can look each other. People that go to movies on their first date, I think are ridiculous.
I'm a nerd. I like the movies, but we're gonna have to have like a decompression after the movies where we talk about the movie itself. I am
Oh
that
yeah,
kind
no
of
doubt.
nerd.
No doubt. But if I'm on a first date, I'd rather have a coffee, look you in the eye, and be like, all right, so what do you want to talk about? Where are you at it in life? You know? Like I see too much of this, like I'm single because this guy doesn't do this and this girl don't do that. And I hate to say it, guys are a little more simple when it comes to that because they have like three wants. And you know what I'm talking about. Girls like are very emotional people, and I respect that. I always have. I'm more emotional than most guys. And everybody knows that. And so like be straight up. It's that simple.
Mhm. And what I would want to say is that for us masculine women that say we can do it all by ourselves, God didn't create us that way. There's always going to be something where we wish that someone was with us. Like even today, I went to this food festival. I went by myself. And I went to like enjoy the food. I found some interesting celebrities there. That was kind of my haha kiki, but I would have liked to gone with some friends or I would have liked to gone with a date. But I knew that the person that I was thinking about to go with me, he didn't have my safety in mind. So I just went by myself, find my little corner, ate my food, people watched, and met some cool people on the way along the way. And it was still great. But like we're always gonna have that little bit in us saying like, oh, we wish someone else was with us. So don't block it off just because you feel like you can do everything yourself. You're always gonna want somebody to just ha ha and kiki about the stupid things you saw on the street or the television show you just watched or just anything. Any little thing, you're always gonna want somebody to talk to. So don't think that just because you have the capability of doing everything by yourself that you actually have to do it. Because you don't. You can choose to share the load. You can choose to have those conversations. You can choose to have friends. You can choose to have romantic partners. It doesn't always have to be me, myself, and I all the time. On that note, we're going to say goodnight and we'll see y'all on the next episode of Work Well Wednesday. Good night, everybody.
Have a lovely day, everybody. God bless.
Thank you for listening to Living the Sweet Life with Azucar. Check us out on Instagram at La Vida Dulce Pod and at LA Sugar F on Twitter, and join the Sweet Teas crew on our Patreon to get behind the scenes access, exclusive first looks, and customized Azucar Welcome to the Sugar Factory merch. Check out our website, sweetlifewithasucar.libsyn.com, and don't forget to DM us at La Vida Dulce Pod for your questions for the Work Well Wednesday segment. See you next week with Welcome to the Sugar Factory and the next installment of Sugary Scandal and Entanglements.